Lads here from Herman Hits the Road. Welcome to Motorhome and Campervan News September 2021. In this video I look at new E10 fuel could damage your vehicle, a motorhome explodes on a campsite, and motorhomes banned from Scottish ferry queues. Just so you know that you can find links to all the news articles in the video description, and I've also provided timestamps. Wait until the end of the video for bloopers and outtakes and let us know how much you enjoyed the video by leaving us a comment and giving us a thumbs up. We'll start off with some disgusting news from the Somerset Live website. Cheddar back in lockdown as businesses close because of louts from caravan rally. The village of Cheddar is under lockdown again, with some pubs and shops closed and a football match postponed because of a large gathering of people in caravans holding a mini festival on the edge of the village. Almost 100 caravans, campervans and trailers arrived on Monday 16th of August to the gathering, which is understood to be continuing all week. The people attending the event have been blamed by some locals for antisocial behaviour and making threats in the village centre, which is a famous tourist attraction with caves and the gorge. There have been unconfirmed reports from local residents of antisocial behaviour in the supermarket, stores, shops and pubs. As a result, a number of businesses have temporarily closed. One Cheddar resident explained what he saw in Cheddar on Tuesday afternoon. Young louts from the rally went along the high street in Cheddar this afternoon shouting and acting as louts, kicking rubbish boxes onto the busy main street. When asked to stop and pick them up, being met with a tirade of the foulest language ever. Ashley Han, who owns the field where the gathering is happening, said, "I only let the land for 6 days to them. They'll be gone on Friday. They said about 50 caravans would come, but I reckon it's probably more like 80 or 90. They didn't tell me what it was all for, so I have no idea. What they do off-site has nothing to do with me. The police have come out and they've told me I've done nothing wrong and that they are just going to be monitoring the situation now," he said. Next we have some devastating news from the BBC News website. Motorhome explodes on Dursley campsite in the night. We've had motorhomes in flames before here on Motorhome and Campervan News, but never exploding motorhomes. Mrs. Jeffrey said after watching the sunset and enjoying some dinner, she and her husband had gone to bed around 11 p.m. "I woke up a little later to a beeping sound. We couldn't work out where it was coming from, but figured it wasn't inside our van, so we went back to sleep," she said. That'll be someone's fire alarm. It's amazing how we all ignore alarms, isn't it? Then we were woken by a massive boom and the sky went orange. We shot out of bed and saw one of the vans engulfed by 30-foot flames. Completely panicked and shaken, I called 999. I didn't know if anyone was in the van and it continued to explode and burn. The fire crew and police arrived in 10 minutes. As it was past midnight, Mrs. Jeffrey said she was worried because she assumed the occupants of the motorhome would have been inside at that time. About half an hour later, the couple came strolling into the field. They'd been at the local pub. They'd only had the van for 2 weeks, Mrs. Jeffries said. Well, that could have ended in so many other ways, couldn't it? But what do you think had caused it then? Was it a candle, do you think, or maybe incense? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Most of the news in the September edition of MMM magazine is about new models of motorhomes and campervans, but there is this little gem that reflects the success of the North Coast 500. It reads, "Cumbria creates coastal motorhome tour." Cumbria Tourism has created the CCR 200, a 200-mile coastal tour showing off the Lake District's lesser known side. Specifically designed for motorhome and campervan owners, the route stretches from Morecambe Bay in the south to Solway Firth in the north. The route takes in 2 areas of outstanding natural beauty, various nature reserves, secluded beaches, majestic castles and ancient tales of smuggling. There is also a 32-mile stretch of England's coastal path which has just been opened between Whitehaven and Salecroft Beach. It's been split into 5 sections that can each be done in a day, with itinerary ideas and a mix of campsites and stopovers to choose from. Heading over to the website, which I'll leave a link in the video description, you can read about each section. It's a bit of a wall of text, but you can also find stopovers and campsites, and the itinerary planner is interactive, so you can add, remove or move your itinerary around. Your stop-off points are added to the map, where you'll also see travel distances and the ability to either print, email or add your own personal notes. I must say, Cumbria Tourism, this is a brilliant idea. What a great tool. Would it be possible to do the same to the rest of the Lake District? I'm asking for a friend. As you may be aware, there have been a lot of reports of vanners dumping their grey and black waste everywhere. However, from the North Norfolk News, we have motorhome while camping blamed for public loo trouble on coast. Increasing numbers of motorhome owners illegally while camping in car parks around North Norfolk have been blamed for blocking public toilets and incorrectly disposing of waste. While camping is illegal in most of England, and overnight stays in North Norfolk District Council's car parks are prohibited, with motorhome owners instead encouraged to make use of the area's many campsites. But the number of motorhomes and caravans using certain car parks on the coast has been described as beyond ridiculous. In recent weeks, NNDC has received increasing reports of motorhome owners staying overnight in public car parks and emptying wastewater into public toilets, said to be causing blockages. The council said, while it was aware of requests from motorhome users for local authorities to provide motorhome air-type facilities, which are popular on the continent, NNDC does not provide any such facilities at this time and believes that the needs of motorhome visitors can best be met through the large number of formal and pop-up campsites which exist across the district. Now, you may be aware that the scenic and award-winning Loch Ness Shores campsite in the Scottish Highlands is up for sale. Well, the Inverness Courier reports that the Camping and Caravanning Club have bought the sites. Nathan Goodyear, Director of Property and Development for the Camping and Caravanning Club, said, "We are delighted to be acquiring Loch Ness Shores. It is a flagship campsite for the club, given it is located in such a famous and picturesque setting in the Scottish Highlands, and offers such excellent facilities for campers, caravanners and motorhomers. Because the campsite has already been operated as a franchise camping and caravanning club site for 8 years, the transition will be seamless." The amount paid for the campsite is not being revealed, but specialist property agent Colliers advertised its sale for offers over £2 million. With around 300 metres of loch frontage, the campsite has its own private slipway, salmon fishing permits and a site licence for 124 tourers, tents and motorhomes for 12-month use. The Express has another misleading headline. It had to happen. Caravans and campervans to be banned from Scottish ferry queues. When you start reading this article, it sounds like it's saying that all motorhomes, campervans and caravans are banned from using ferries going to any of the Scottish islands, which isn't true. If you've booked a place on a ferry, then you'll be allowed to travel. But if you've just turned up, then you'll be probably turned away. Due to the pandemic, travel restrictions and the boom of leisure vehicle sales, tourist hotspots such as Scotland are seeing a huge increase in motorhomes, etc. Therefore, there has been an increase in the amount of leisure vehicles turning up at ferry ports, hoping to get on without booking. The Western Isles MSP, Alistair Allen, said, "The turn up and go capacity on ferries, while limited, is aimed primarily at helping islanders, since they more often need to travel at short notice, while visitors tend to book far in advance. I have been receiving reports of motorhomes parking in standby queues at ports overnight, exploiting the fact that they are able to sleep in their vehicles and queue ahead of everyone else." Finlay McRae, Head of Operations of Caledonia McBride, said motorhomes, campervans and vehicles towing caravans will no longer be given a standby or wait list position on all bookable routes, either at the reservation stage or on the day of sailing. Another article from the Express, E10 fuel warning. New petrol could damage vehicles and reduce performance. You've probably heard by now that unleaded petrol is changing and some older vehicles could be damaged by using the new petrol mix. This doesn't affect diesel vehicles, but if you have an old petrol fueled campervan or in the case of a caravan, a car, then you may want to check whether it's compatible with the new fuel. Using the new fuel in an incompatible petrol vehicle won't cause immediate harm, but continued use could damage the engine's internal parts. If a driver has misfueled, the Department of Transport recommends to simply fill up with E5, that's the 97 plus octane petrol, next time. Using a single tank of E10 petrol in a vehicle that is not compatible should not be a major problem. Just make sure you fill up with the correct E5 petrol grade next time. Unlike putting petrol into a diesel engine, you shouldn't need to drain the tank. On a one-time basis, your vehicle will not suffer engine damage as a result. Prolonged use of E10 petrol in a non-compatible vehicle, however, may cause harm and is not recommended. Mark Cooper, head of product at motor insurance experts Carol Nash, probably not the most qualified person to ask, but it's probably true, commented on the new fuel and warned of its impacts. While E10 does create less CO2, it has an issue with less energy density, meaning you have to burn more to get the same calorific value as the comparable amount of petrol with no ethanol mix. Not only will this have an effect on reducing engine performance, but there may be a noticeable reduction in fuel economy figures. With the E10 fuel, drivers may have to fill up more often to get the same amount of mileage as they would have done with the current E5 petrol. Drivers with an older car or campervan may have to start buying super unleaded, which retains the 5% bioethanol mix. However, it is typically around 10p per litre more expensive. Around 600,000 older vehicles, including cars, scooters and campervans, may not work with the new fuel. I'll leave a link in the video description where you can check if your vehicle is compatible with the new fuel. Next, we are going to look at 3 different strategies that councils are doing to accommodate the increase of motorhomes in their area. You may remember that South Hams in Devon have started a trial to allow overnight parking in 5 of their large car parks. Well, they now have an official website containing instructions, costs and the locations of the 5 car parks. Your motorhome must have a toilet and there's a maximum stay of 48 hours. Cost is £10 a night and you'll find a link to their website in the video description. Then we have council to introduce strategy after increasing motorhome chances parking at district beauty spots. This is from the Amar Eye website. Newry, Morn and Down District Council have agreed to look into the possibility of introducing a new strategy for provision of motorhomes and campervans across the district. The introduction of the new approach comes after a surge in the number of people using council parking to park their motorhomes during the summer months. The council said users of motorhomes or campervans did have access to free shared parking in the district, but it was for a maximum of 12 hours with overnight stays prohibited. Councillors and council officers agreed that meetings should take place with stakeholders including DFI, Tourism NI, local residents, motorhome groups and campsite owners to inform them about the strategy. I find this very good news that a council are going to include local residents and motorhome groups to discuss their strategy. They have an idea and they want to discuss it with other groups. Unlike the next council. The Nation Cumbria website says, council moves to stop motorhomes cluttering streets following complaints. Motorhomes will have one less seaside avenue to settle in overnight after council imposed parking restrictions. Holidaymakers looking for a cheap overnight berth will not be able to park up on Glodaearth Avenue, Llandudno, after Conway Council contractors painted single yellow lines down the length of the dual carriageway. So 3 different councils with 3 different attitudes towards the increase of motorhomes in their popular tourist locations. Ads here from Herman Hits the Roads. Straight away I've done a mistake. Ah, goodness. For antisocial behaviour and making threats in the village centre, which is famous tourist attraction, oh crying out loud. And they've told me I've done nothing wrong. And that they... We've had motorhomes in flames before hit on... Ashley Han, who owns the... Mrs. Jeffrey said after watching the sunset, enjoying some dinner. Mrs. Jeffrey, because the campsite has already been located. Because the campsite is aimed primarily. I can't say the word. While limited, is aimed primarily at helping at using the new fuel in an tongue twister. Cost is £10 a night. I'll itch midway, shall I? That's it for this month. Like, subscribe and ring the bell. Thanks for watching and goodbye.